Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. How is everyone? My name is Nathan, and together with my host, Rob Zwifter Bane, welcome to In the Drops, the number one weekly virtual esports cycling podcast on YouTube. Now, if you in this week's show, we've got our guest is Jonathan Crain, cycling analyst, podcast, and Zwifter. We're going to take a look at some of the Tour de France highlights. Rob's going to tell us how to win stage 1 of this month's ZRacing series. And we're going to have a chat about what's new with the Zwift racing score. Don't forget, we've got our quiz at the end of the show. So you get to go head-to-head with us and test your Zwifting and cycling knowledge. And please, can someone please win this one? Because I can't keep doing these challenges. They're killing me. All right, let's get into it. Rob, sir, how have you been? You haven't been well, mate. You are looking better.
Yeah, I'm older and wider than I was when we last met. I had my 50th birthday.
Yeah, congratulations. I was going to ask, how was that?
It was awesome, man. It was really good. And you organised the best present I've ever had, so thank you for that. You did a wonderful video
no worries.
on our channel with lots of our subscribers, and gave me some money as well to buy some stuff. So I think I'm going to buy some more easily inflatable wheels for my TT bike, so it doesn't get more. I can actually do a ride on it this year.
You can take it outside. You haven't taken that outside at all since you purchased it, have you?
I did about 100 yards on it.
Yeah. Was that just wheeling it into the garage?
Pretty much. Yeah.
So yeah, 50. That's a great milestone, isn't it?
Yeah, I made it, man. It looked a bit dodgy for the time there, but yeah, I made it, and it really sort of enthused me back into the Zwift community. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm planning a handicap race up the Alpe d'Huez Zwift in a couple of weeks. So,
awesome!
In 3 weeks' time. So, if you fancy joining that,
well, it'll probably be like 3 a.m. for me. So maybe not. We'll see how we go.
Probably will actually. It's around this sort of time. Oh, maybe a bit early actually.
Yeah. It's always early. Well, that's awesome, mate. That is so great. It's been a really busy couple of weeks for me too. As I mentioned, I think we've not had a show in the last couple of weeks, only because I had to relocate, unfortunately. But I do have a sort of new studio behind me now, which has been a little bit taking a lot of time to get up and running. But I've got
looks awesome, man.
Yeah, my setup over here, and Sharon's setup over here, and yeah, so it's coming along, which has been really good. So that's the reason why we really haven't had a show. Just literally haven't had a space or time to do it. But now we're back for the second half of this season or this year, so that's going to be awesome. I've got Paul Stevens in the chat there, and Thomas has joined us. Hey mate, how are you? Cycling DJ's there. Hey buddy. Yeah, it's good to be back. So let's get into this, because I want to get into talking to Jonathan. The Zwift ride. Have you had a chance to have a look at this at all?
Yeah. Do you know? I think it's got a lot of promise.
You think so?
It looks a bit weird, but I think if I was starting again, I think I probably would go for this. Something that myself and my wife could both use, just like adjustable, just set up and go, no faff with the bike. It should be something that maybe gyms can, order 1 or 2 of, and they just have to, hold the chain once a week, get a Zwift account going, and, people can casually do it. I think it's got a lot of promise.
So here's the thing I've got with it. All right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the biggest omission here is the fact that it doesn't come with a screen. Is that just me? Or especially if you're a new person doing this, getting into this for the first time, and there's no screen there, you've got to go and get a screen, I think is a bit of a challenge.
Good point, I suppose, yeah.
But here's the second thing that I think that no one's talking about. I reckon that the handlebars they've got, they should sell them separately. And for all the existing Zwifters who have an old beater on their trainer that they use inside, you can get this rather than having the Zwift plates. You can take the old handlebar off of your old bike, and then you can put in this, and you don't have to worry about the cables and the braking levers getting in the way, and you've got this there. I think that's probably the bigger omission that they're not capitalizing on. If they were to sell that for like $500, I would buy one.
Yeah, I suppose they've made them super sweat proof as well, which mine must be completely disintegrated. I didn't take off my bar tape. I go just like this rusted.
I can imagine your bar tape just unwinding and
yeah. I don't want to see what's under there.
Yeah, no, and I've seen ones where all especially the metal handlebars, aluminium. They made of aluminium.
Yeah, I think mine are aluminium.
Are just all they've disintegrated, and they're like they've had like almost like white ants have jumped in there and eaten them all up. So.
I've got loads of white stuff all over my aluminium bike. It's like, I took it to this shop one time, and they were like, "What the hell has been going on here?" I was like, "Oh, Zwift." I was like, "Oh,
yeah, it's just all salt." Just slowly corroding
it's
it.
Come out from my pores. It's not only eroding it, but it's like forming a little salt mine.
Damon's there. Hey, buddy, how are you? Marky Mark's just joined us.
Hey,
Ginger
Mark
Warrior.
did part of the video, didn't he?
Jane
Durham. Everyone's back. All the gang's back in town.
They're all there.
Isn't it great? They haven't deserted us.
Yeah, so that's all very good. I did want to ask some people in the stream, what do they do about salt and sweat build up on their bikes? Because I've got to do something about mine.
No,
it just eats away.
Get them all to wish me happy birthday. Like it's like the favorite thing about my 50 years. How about that? Oh, just salt and sweat. What a vile topic.
Oh, we've moved on from your birthday. That was like 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
No, I wanted to carry on. I want a birthday. Yeah,
I wanted to let it go. Now we are going to talk about the Zwift racing score a bit later on, but what's your take on this, Rob?
I think it's got to be good, hasn't it? It's bloody stupid at the moment where I could just win every week for 2-3 years
forever
in B category. But I don't win all the time, but I've won a high volume of races, but I race a lot. Sorry, I'm not trying to boast that I win all the time because I certainly don't. So it's silly, isn't it? And that my mate who's an A-cat has never won a race, by most people would say he's a better cyclist than I because he's got a higher FTP, but he's never won a race because he hasn't got a sprint. That's silly, isn't it? And he's only allowed to enter A-cat. There's a few things. So overall, great move forward. Mm-hmm. It's got to go this way. You can't continue with power metrics alone. And but I don't like the decay thing. They're saying like after 90 days, your power decays, so you can eventually go in decat or something like that. Like what the hell is that all about?
Well, you could. Zwift power does that anyway.
I know, but this is like a slow decay. So you could after 2 months you've been CCAT or something like that. Like what? Yeah. That's just stupid because the people who barely race and then just turn up for ZRL, they'll just be in C and B.
Or if you've got people that race outdoors a lot and then they come in and they've decayed back down to C or D, they can just absolutely obliterate it. I do think though it's a good step. Stupid. Well, it's a positive step way forward though because it's more granular now.
Step forward.
So I found that I'm no longer in this grouping. I'm no longer sort of high end C. I'm sort of mid to low C now, or mid to low in that 400 to 575 bracket. So I'm yet to do a race with the ZRacing score as a primary category system. So I'm interested to see what it's been like. But I've been watching a few other YouTubers. Two in Black is a YouTuber that I've been watching a little bit lately, and he found the same thing, which was when he went and did one of the ZRacing scores. Yeah, he found it incredibly hard. But I think you also mentioned that when you did yours, it was really easy.
I haven't done one yet.
Oh, you haven't done one yet? Oh, okay. Who did I watch that did one? And they said it was like surprisingly easy, and
well, it depends where you are, doesn't it?
Correct,
if you've gone from top end of one cat to low end of another, then the other way around. Then it might be easy.
Yeah, that might be easy. Yeah, so it's going to be it's going to be interesting, and I definitely want to try and get a couple of those done this weekend. and hopefully,
Yeah, but no one now should be dominating BCAT and CCAT, should they? Which is the point. That's just silly.
Although, wouldn't you argue that you're going to have low end BCAT riders being pushed down a level, and they're really going to become really high end CCAT riders, and that is what I'm seeing anyway. I don't know if anyone in the stream has experienced this.
But they'll get if they win or win a couple of times, even
they'll get bumped up again. Yeah,
that's the whole point.
Yeah,
that no one should sit at the top of a category for months and years. Apart from ACAT, obviously.
And what's your racing score?
It's 708, I think. So towards the top of B.
Oh, okay. So you're not that far away from that 725 cutoff mark.
No, I'm nearly there.
How do you think you'll go if you get picked up?
Well, I probably should be A, really. Last time I was kicked into A, I did all right. I won some, and I lost most of them, which is the way it should be. Yep.
Excellent. Okay. Now we were going to do the tour, some tour highlights, but I think we'd much prefer to get Jonathan's take on some of that. So we'll play that one. We get him in. So Rob, let's get. I think we should get Jonathan in. What do you think?
Yeah, is the host of the American Peloton, the #1 podcast for US crit cycling. He's a skateboarder, a post-punk guitar legend, and an extremely non-mediocre cyclist. If you learned anything about Zwift from me, I probably learned it from him. He's the 5 times Alabama cyclocross state champion. He's came second in the US Crits Union Cat 2. He's the Alabama P12 Criterium State Champion from 2022. Is the former Skyway Epic mountain bike race winner and is the 2018 Alabama ass whooping gravel winner. That's a real thing. Welcome, Jonathan Crain.
Hey,
thanks.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, I've actually concluded the Alabama ass whooping thing. I got the here's the podium prize from that gravel race. It's a custom set of Silka Allen wrenches. Best race. I've got a lot of race prizes that just go in a box over there and I never see them again. But this one, it's within arm's reach because this is my tool bench and I use those things all the time.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I had to ask him whether the ass whooping thing was a real thing. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's coming up.
The ass whoop, yeah.
It's from the early days of gravel when it was still a little edgy and a little dangerous, before all the washed up pros came over to gravel.
Oh right, yeah. One of my friends is Leland Danes, who started Gravel Unbound. Is that?
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of Alabama guys have gotten. I haven't made that one yet, but I think one of these years. I'm focused on like really short stuff right now. And I think that's like Zwift racing sort of goes into that. But yeah, US criteriums are normally like a 1 hour effort, full gas. And cyclocross racing is kind of the same thing, 1 hour full gas.
So that's really short stuff for you, is it? Okay.
Yeah. And you kind of can't be good at both. But also, I'm 36 now, so I don't know how long I can continue to be good at the really short stuff. So Unbound is kind of on my like long-term Leadville Unbound. I'm going to do all the long stuff, once my top end starts to peter out in the next couple of years.
What's long stuff? What does that look like?
Like more than 4 hours. Like,
okay.
I guess right now I'm mostly doing crit just because that's like what. So I'm on a road team, Skyway Domestique Racing. We're sponsored by the local coffee company. We got a lot of great support, and the team has been really like stepping up in the last couple of years. But most of the racing that we can do that really like gives the sponsors any kind of value is crit racing, because that's what is live streamed on the internet. That's what people can actually see us doing and what we can get to pretty easily. So we do a lot of that. And then a lot of those weekends also include a road race here and there. So those road races are normally like 80 to 100 miles ish, 60 to 100. So that's like 2.5, 3.5 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
So because that's like everything I do is kind of 1 to 4 hours. Everything above that is like I just start to fall apart.
Yeah.
Like totally outside the wheelhouse.
So we kind of dove into it, but do you want to give an overview of your cycling, experience? And,
Yeah, sure. So I guess I started riding a bike in college just to commute to get to class. Like I was struggling with parking and seeing other people riding a bike right up to the front door, and I was like, that looks smart.
That looks easier.
Yeah. And this was also around the time you mentioned that I skateboard. I skateboarded, still skateboard a little bit. But I was seeing all the like San Francisco skateboarders getting old and blowing their knees out. They all started riding fixed gears around San Francisco, bombing hills. And I was like, put those two together. Like it looks fun to bomb hills on that. And I can ride straight up to the door at school. Got a fixed gear.
Bombing down San Franciscan hills.
Oh, yeah.
Fixie.
Man.
It's like
you need to go
kind
watch
of
those
rev
videos.
do you get? Oh my word.
So they're like skidding. It's almost like skiing. Like you're skidding and kicking the back wheel out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pedal, or what?
Oh, you do have to pedal. You're manually stopping your legs and using the skid to control your speed.
Oh my god.
I mean, it was basically like Daredevil. It was a lot of like skate culture guys. So they made these videos that were kind of formatted like a skateboard video. It would be like one rider had like a little 3-minute section set to a song, and it was just them bombing crazy hills and like maybe bunny hopping or riding down some stairs or something. But yeah, that looked cool. Got into that, and then like that led to alley cat racing, which led to cyclocross, which was like the cyclocross was the gravel of 10 years ago. It was the hot new thing, and it was also, this was around the time that the World Championships was in USA of cyclocross for the first time. So like anyone in any kind of cycling was talking about cyclocross, and tried that. So I did it really backwards. Most people come from either mountain bike and then they do cyclocross in the off season, or they come from road and do cyclocross in the off season. I came at it the other way, and I raced cyclocross first and then roads, but I kind of race a little bit of everything. I'm all over the place. Wow, you've gone all the way back on my YouTube.
Yeah, no, I'm going back through the
get to the
very, very
stuff.
Yeah.
I was hoping that there might have been some earlier videos there that I've missed of you just out cycling, but most of it started when you were on Zwift.
Yeah. So that's like the next. So I raced a little bit of road, a little bit of gravel, a little bit of mountain bike, a lot of cyclocross for like 5 years, 10 years. And I was never really on Zwift. I did have a trainer, but I wasn't on Zwift until the pandemic. And then I had all this fitness. I was ready for crit season, and the pandemic happened. Literally, there was supposed to be the big race in my hometown the day everything shut down here. Oh. So like that day I did a century with all the pros that were in town for Birmingham Hammerfest, the big criterium. And then I had all this fitness, and I was like, all right, I got to do something with this. So started Zwift racing and got addicted to it pretty immediately. And I also like, you mentioned the music thing. Like I've always liked making stuff and like, creative endeavors. So I think I was just like looking for an outlet at the time, and started doing YouTube, kind of just making stuff I would want to see. And I also figured there were probably a lot of people in the same spot as me, like kind of experienced cyclists who were new to Zwift. So there were a lot of things I was figuring out in real time that I wasn't seeing represented on YouTube anywhere. So that was kind of what I wanted to bring to it.
I think, just watching this video now, this is where I learned how to position on a bike. and the hills come in. That's exactly what I do. Admittedly, I do it in a B-cat race, but you're following following that guy. If a break happens, you're there. Yeah, this is where I learned.
Yeah, I noticed coming to Zwift. Outside there are guys who are so good at like reading the pack and knowing exactly where to be.
Yep.
I know we haven't talked Tour de France, but the Cav win the other day, like that's more pack skills than legs, I think. And there are a lot of guys I know who are like that outside, and many of them, when they were forced to come to Zwift, there were a lot of guys Frank Travieso is a guy from Georgia who pro crit racer. He's won Athens Twilight, which we were talking about in the green room. But I would see him on Zwift because we're in the same time zone, and I follow him on Zwift, and I would see him racing, and they would try to treat Zwift like they would outside and get frustrated that it didn't work the same without sort of recognizing that there are like different intricacies to like how the game works. And then vice versa. There are the guys that like would be terrible outside, but they figured out the Zwift meta. They're good at the game of it. And they were just getting blasted. And that was me the first few times I was on here. We started doing the Tuesday night Hammerfest group ride. We started doing it as a meetup on Zwift, and like guys that I just wax every week on that group ride were beating me in Zwift. I think most people who get in that who had that experience, they would go, "Oh, well, Zwift is rubbish. Like I'm done with this."
There's something wrong with the game. Yeah.
It's not.
It's not me. It's not me. It's not the fact that
exactly.
I haven't done it as long.
Well, like I know I'm strong, and like outside is the real thing. But I was saying like there's something these guys are doing that I'm not doing, and I'm gonna like try and figure out what that is. So that was kind of the genesis of the YouTube channel.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you just like watch certain bits in real life races, like say when they're approaching a pinch point, and there's a similar thing in just say in the Scotland route where there's the corkscrew climb. Now, if you were at the back there in a real race, you'd be in big trouble because it could well be a split. But if you're at the front there now in a Zwift race, you're in the worst position really, because everyone at the back just gets a lovely draft halfway up that first hill, and then you can burst through them. You don't have to fight your way through.
Right.
You just get you get.
But you do have to know how the draft works on Zwift now. That like you have to get a mile per hour or two of. Okay, I don't know how deep you guys want to get into this.
We're going in.
Yeah. We want to talk sticky draft, but
yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah,
they're always adjusting the draft dynamics and the pack dynamics, and I think that the version we have now has finally found a really happy medium. But I think how it works is if you're either doing a certain amount of power more than the person in front of you, that'll start to nudge you out around them, or if you already have a speed differential, you'll kind of just come past them naturally rather than sticking on. So you have to come into that corkscrew climb at the back and know I need to get going just a little faster than the guy in front of me so that I don't hit the log jam. In real life, like I just did Tulsa Tough, and that has a big hill every lap on the Sunday race, and it's a log jam. Like if you start that race at the back, if you get extremely lucky and you hold the outside line, you can maybe punch tickets at the back and hold on. But a lot of times you're just running into the back of guys and you're starting the climb slow and then having to speed up on the climb. And the same thing could happen on the corkscrew if you are doing a little less than the guy in front of you and he's doing a little less than the guy in front of him, and you don't kick for the climb before it starts. But if you do that kick, you just hold all that speed. And like you said, it's way easier than the guys at the front because you're going draft to draft to draft to draft. And by the time that draft runs out, you're at the front and you're halfway up the climb.
And you're going slow, so the drafts.
Yeah, everyone's going slow. Yeah.
Do you think?
Oh, I like that. And so, what do you think about all the? So you're like big into RGT, which is now demised, hasn't it? But,
R.I.P.
But you've done loads of niche games. I remember you doing some like what was it, Delivery Boy game or something like that.
Yeah, Hustle City. Yeah, that got me back to the fixed gear roots. Hustle City was fun. Yeah, I was always so like I got on and did a bunch of Zwift, and this was when Zwift was worse, I would say. Like the game, the pack dynamics especially were a little bit clunkier than they are now, and not as good for racing. And I just started saying, Zwift is good. It's got a lot of people on it. There's a lot of racing, which I like. But somebody's got to have taken other cracks at this. Like there have to be other versions. And yeah, once I sort of opened that Pandora's box, I just became kind of a glutton for punishment of like every other weird app that was out there. And I had already used Trainer Road, so I wasn't like totally unfamiliar with other apps, but started looking specifically for other platforms with racing. And RGT was the first one I found that like the graphics were bad, but I had fun racing on it. Like the dynamics were different. This was when the graphics were better. So when I started racing on there, they had a feature called Magic Roads. This was what really intrigued me about it. In 2020, they had this feature called Magic Roads where you could upload a GPX route and it would create a course based on it. So, and it was also very easy to create your own races on there. And it wasn't like Zwift where you create a meetup. Like you could create a proper race with rankings, which you couldn't do with a finish order, which you couldn't do on Zwift at the time. So there were a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. Not effectively.
Not easily.
So there were a lot of people who were taking their weekly like criteriums and stuff, weekly circuit races, taking the course, putting it on there, and then just their club would be doing it. And I would find them on Facebook. So I was kind of like doing it was interesting to like hop into those virtually and be there with the guys who would actually do that race. Yeah, you can see right now I'm looking at the Bucks County Classic course. Like that's a real criterium course from the US. So then Eric Hill and the Echelon guys started doing that with a lot of the real races from around the US.
Yeah. And do you think that's really been helpful in terms of, your training and, getting the team to work together?
I would say like for my road team, so I could never get everybody else on RGT. I actually joined Restart in the RGT days because Restart still a team in the elite Zwift world. They were coming over to do the Echelon stuff, and I was kind of the only guy like racing RGT and doing. They just found me as like, hey, we can get this RGT ringer for Echelon series, which I ended up not being that much of a ringer because once the good guys came over, I was kind of okay. I got a couple podiums. But my real life team, like in the last year, we have been using ZRL to train. In the off season, ZRL has been a good way to get the guys together and get drilled. And I think it really helped us in some of the early season road racing situations where there's a break off the front and we need to work together to sort of paceline and control and bring it back. I looked at my numbers and it was basically like the exact same effort that we were doing in ZRL TTTs.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
It is great watching you. You're like a Zwift expert. You've got all these noobs who are, obviously super powerful. And could you catch that guy? Like, oh yeah, no problem. Like, but they're taxing. They're otherwise they haven't got a clue what they're doing. But go catch him. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I found myself a lot in the TTT saying like, hey, do a little less, because guys would be kind of like hanging out to the side and pulling up the left of the line, and they're not even thinking about it like where's the draft in the game and that it's that particular.
Yeah, I remember watching a few of your videos where you were just attempting different tactics, like on is it Downtown Dolphin or was it the Bell Lap?
Oh yeah.
And then you just go, oh, okay, so I'm going to try this time. And then you would just, rip out like an 800-watt sprint up Brick Lane and then go, oh, that didn't work, so let's just try this one. And, and so, it was really interesting to watch, how that sort of played out. And, as Rob was just saying, the way that you can just transfer a whole bunch of power really quickly and just break away was fantastic to watch.
I don't have crazy 20-minute numbers, but I've got pretty good repeatable VO2 max. I think that comes from I'm here in Birmingham, Alabama, which people don't think of Alabama as being hilly, but we're like on the foothills of the Appalachians. So we have a lot of, and it doesn't snow here. It's too warm to snow. So our roads are graded very steeply. They're not graded for driving up them in the snow. Okay. So we have a lot of climbs that are like over 10%, but they're like 1 to 5 minutes long.
Yeah. Okay.
And, riding a fixed gear around on that, you just have to mash up it. So I think I was kind of doing like VO2 intervals and anaerobic intervals before I knew what that was.
Before you realized
really good VO2 repeatability.
got a
Did
couple
you know
of questions.
that the Appalachians also go into Scotland? It's the same mountain range. That
really?
Originally,
It's under the ocean and then it pops back up. I did not know.
Well,
that.
no, it was when it was the same landmass and it
And
separated.
we got split apart. Gotcha.
before it separated. So I've got a couple of questions. First thing, do you know what we talked about Zwift racing score, and this is a great segue into that. Do you know what your Zwift racing score is, Jonathan?
I do. I believe it's 699.
699.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I cannot be above you, Crain. That's ridiculous.
So I've
You can't have been
raced,
right in.
Yeah, that's part of the decay thing you were talking about. I think I've only raced probably like since the end of ZRL. We did the whole season of ZRL, and then I've probably done like 4 or 5 races on Zwift since then. In the sort of pre-interview, the question came up of like, have you been on Zwift a lot? And where I'm at now is just the total inverse of 2020. 2020, I was doing a lot of zone 2 by myself outside, and then I was getting on Zwift to do intensity and doing races all the time. Now I'm doing a lot of racing outside. I've done 2 crits this week. And a fast group ride outside, and my Zwifting is mostly like filling out that zone 2 stuff. So I have been on Zwift a ton, but just not racing a ton. So like you were saying, there'll always be good people.
Just not sandbagging. Just what happens to me.
It's a good question. What do you think about the Zwift racing score? Have you had a look into it much?
Yeah. I mean, I think time will tell, like the devil's in the details, and it hasn't been around long enough for any of us to know like how responsive it's going to be to how quickly you go up if you're winning races with good field quality and that kind of thing. I do think that like to zoom it all the way out, results-based ranking, I've always said that it should be that way. I've always wanted that.
Yep.
For the reasons we were talking about earlier, like there are guys that don't quite have as much power, but they do have the game figured. They're good at Zwift.
Yeah.
And like, if you're winning like that, that should reward, that should move you up. And if you really reach your ceiling and you get less fit or something, like that should move you back down to just be perpetually stuck in a zone, or to be able to, like you said, win every race, but just know that if you don't go over the power limits, you'll stay where you are.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people sandbag to win races. And so the fact that you can't sandbag and win races is going to take the fun out of sandbagging for a lot of people.
Which is a great thing because, certainly it's a part of the game. Like we've always said, it's a game. And if you know how to play the game, then you win, and I think it's a good step forward that Zwift are doing to try and, I guess help even that out so you don't have all this discouragement, especially the lower cats as well. Because I see, I'm in the companion app, the team or the club for Zwift Labs, and I've just been seeing comment after comment after comment come through about lower cat riders, D and C, lower cat Cs, complaining about how this is going to change the dynamic. And so they've obviously been winning in lower cats, and now they're going to get pushed up that level, and it's going to force them to have to compete against better riders.
People are going to be, there will be a huge backlash. And we'll see if Zwift has the resolve to just say, because I think if they ride it out, 2 things. If they ride it out and stick to their guns and say, this is the system, we're moving forward with it, we're not going to put it on half the races and then take it off some of them and roll it back out. And if they continue to iterate, if they see it, because there are going to be things in the math, in the real nitty gritty that we haven't had enough racing to using it to get into yet, that are going to need tweaks if they continue making those tweaks.
Yeah. Have you used ZwiftRacing.app, which is Tim Hansen's thing?
I've seen it. I haven't used it myself.
Yeah. So Tim's been on the show and is kind of a former teammate as well, so I know him quite well, and he's been doing this for years, and he consulted with Zwift to help them implement it after they'd tried and failed a couple of times to do similar things. But he's the way he develops is so cool. He's got a Discord, and he just gets everyone involved in every little decision, from the icons to the mathematics of how it all works, and trapping, dealing with all the sort of things that you would think would come up of sandbagging and people coming back from illness and, trying to, DNFs and all this kind of complexity of, that aren't simple issues. What do you do with DNF? Do you, it is tricky, but you've got to make a decision, and he's come to so hopefully they'll do a similar sort of thing. I can't imagine they will do a similar sort of thing of opening it up to the community and letting them all decide, but that's the way he's done it. It's just been awesome.
I do think like there's a level of moaning that's going to happen, and what people are going to say is that the new system's not fair. And I think when a lot of Zwifters talk about fair racing, what they mean is races I can win.
That's it, yeah.
But mathematically, most people can't win most races. So like, you kind of have to take some of those comments with a grain of salt. If the goal is to move the people up that are winning, and those are the complainers, then it's like, maybe
those
comments in the bin.
If the average race size is 30, then you should podium 10% of the time, shouldn't you?
Yeah. Less, yeah. One in 30 would be an equitable distribution. So then, like, if one guy's significantly stronger than everybody else, if you podium 3 times in 30, you're winning more than your fair share, But this is going to move people up and down. So I think you're going to win a few, move up, be at a level that is hard for you, lose several, move back down. I think that churn is actually good.
Yeah. Hopefully there'll be some churn. That I think that's what I think two things concern me is that it might overly penalize regular users. So if you're, especially if this decay thing, if you just come on race once a month and your scores drop down, I've got a podium, I'm back up. It decays. That's not. Compared to someone who races 4 times a week, is right. Is never going to get in that situation.
We're going to move on because I want to get your take on the Tour de France.
You've
been watching that, Jonathan?
Oh yeah. While lifting a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I just can't.
Could you work at the same time? Yeah. Watch and Zwift.
I can focus on one or the other.
I got Microsoft Teams open on the phone, so if somebody pings me,
you can message them.
It's normally pre 8 a.m. So, but just in case, paranoid, in case something happens.
I've put together a quick highlight reel, just bits and pieces from the last 6 stages. I didn't get a chance to do stage 7, which is the ITT. So I'll play this through. Anyway. Stop me if there's anything particularly you want to talk about, because we were speaking just before, and it'd be great to get your take on a few things that come up in here. Obviously not the vomiting.
But
he was struggling.
I've experienced this phenomenon. We have a fondo here called Chia Challenge that is in the middle of the summer, and it goes up the largest climb in the state. And I think I've thrown up on the climb every year.
Oh, wow.
I finished on the podium, and I threw up on the climb because it's super hot, and your body just stops taking carbs in.
Yeah, okay.
And that's like what I was saying, the long stuff. Like when it gets 3-4 hours, my body's like, what are you doing? Like, you should be done now. We don't do this. That combined with the heat.
Yep.
I think that's what Cav was getting. The heat just like, it's a different level.
And so
I was thinking I might be done try hard enough to throw up, but maybe it's just because it just never gets hot enough here. I don't know.
and you're not eating enough carbs. You got to be trying to pound a ton of gels.
Yeah, okay.
I eat lots, but just not those stupid gels.
Not those sugary treats, yeah?
I did. Someone posted a photo of someone with a banana in his back pocket. I was like, yeah, come on, real food.
I start with the banana, but like at some point, especially in those front groups, the racing is so full on that I need something I can just pop in and be done with.
Fair enough.
So I'll do a banana when it's still fairly easy and I'm not as deep in and as hot. Gotta switch.
I like it when they do bits that are on my game. I like so Bologna climb. I like that.
Yeah, that was impressive to see that, wasn't it? And they did that climb twice. That was incrable.
Yeah. Oh, who was this? I can't remember
his
name now.
Kevin. Kevin.
Can I go back? I can't remember.
I'll go back.
This was Arkea's first win ever, right?
Yeah.
Vakalan,
was it?
Yeah.
And then first Black African to win the next one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Biniam
Binny.
Jermai.
Yep.
Binny?
So I've got that coming up next there.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
We're
And
getting ahead of it.
yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I was worried for Cav in the first one. I was like, oh no, it's not going to happen. He's going to need crashes and all sorts to win. But
yeah, I kept telling everybody
That's
Cav
funny.
wouldn't get one until 16 because he needed a couple guys to crash and a couple guys to pull out or get their win and be satisfied.
yeah,
This one was interesting because Benny's team was sprinting for someone else and they told him to just freelance. But
yeah,
I think that them having control, they did come into the last corner on the front and they had control of it. And I think for him, this is true of some riders. There's a few guys on the US crit circuit that are like this. They're better at freelancing and better when the pressure is not on them. Like when they have a full lead out, that pressure, it's like if every little piece doesn't go perfectly, it falls apart. But if you tell them like, hey, do whatever you want, and we got another guy, no pressure, but try.
Yep.
Then they're going to really roll some dice, and that's when, they can pull those wins out.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't think we've seen a lead out win this year, really, have we? Maybe like a one guy lead out, but like X did a decent one. I mean, it was more like they're getting you into. You need to be in that top 15 going into the final corner thing. That's where your lead out needs to get you there. But after that, it seems to be freelancing his work, isn't it?
And so, how do you think?
Pretty messy.
How do you think Vingegaard's going this year? This tour?
I think he's going good. I gotta say, I think Pog is gonna get it. He just looks so unbeatable. I'm pleasantly surprised with how good Vingegaard is going, given the injury. Though, like I was worried we were gonna come into this and like stage 1, we would see a big time gap. I was legitimately worried about that.
I thought that the UAE might go for it then to test his injury, test his comeback, and might just win it on the first, but they didn't try really. But maybe it wasn't quite as hard as I thought it was going to be the first stage. But it just those few seconds over the top of the Galibier, cost him dearly, didn't they?
Yeah, that seems to be Pogacar's favorite move, is to just punch it over the knuckle of a climb.
Yep.
Which is interesting because I feel like GC riders of old, they were always trying to get the gap on the climb, and then you would see the gaps on the descents kind of stay stagnant. It was never really over the top. It's kind of a new, he's a unique rider with a unique way that he likes to do it. Or maybe he's just found that because he's a little heavier than Vingegaard, that's the, it's not that that's his strategy for everything. That's his strategy for Vingegaard. He knows he can go downhill a little faster because of his weight, and he's a good descender.
I can't remember him being that much of a better descender. Do you think the crashes bothered Vingegaard in terms of his descending?
Yeah, as someone who had a couple of bad crashes, it gets in your head, and you start taking things a little more gingerly.
And you start, is it a case
really, even if the Tour de France is online, isn't it? It's just, it's in your instinct, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you
so do you think he's second guessing himself then?
I think it's maybe like 50% that, 60% that, and then the rest of it is just the fact that Pog is a little heavier and just goes downhill a little quicker naturally.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, he seemed to have more gas in the tank. He was punching it harder out of all those corners, but it's like all those little factors add up to, whatever, 30 seconds, a minute down the whole big descent.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one then. I'm not a big Pog fan, to be honest with you. So this maybe reveals it. But what do you think of this? Did you see it? So I think he should have followed the guy in front, and he causes the crash behind rather than he has awesome bike skills and avoided it. What do you think?
Oh, hang on.
Back. I think it's both. Like, he does have awesome skills, but I think he was trying to he maybe saw people checking up in front of him, and he thought he could keep his speed without touching the brakes. And then as soon as this dude in front of him goes left and he sees the obstruction, he goes, oh nope, that's not a lane that's actually open for me. And it's the wave that he does that causes the ripple behind, and then people go down.
Yeah.
it is impressive that he kept it upright, but
Yeah.
that is also why those guys went down behind. Like, you flick the rear wheel like that when everyone's so close and somebody's going to catch it.
Oh, this is just the best bit of the tour. I mean,
Stage 5, yeah.
Every reason, this is the best bit of the tour, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why did they switch to that angle there? Stupid.
I know, the overhead is so much better. This front on, it's really hard. Ooh. Oh, the full bunny hop. I feel like not enough people are talking about.
No, I've got that coming up next.
You see everybody try that, and I've never seen anyone make it before. I've probably seen 100 people.
Wow!
Try it, and he just fully bunny hops Peterson.
Without even looking.
Yeah, and he sort of looks back and goes, "Oh, well, yeah."
Yeah, he looks back like, "What? Did I just do that? Did I clear?" He must have raced cyclocross. That's a cyclocross racer. That was a barrier hop.
I think in an interview after that, they asked him about it, and he goes, I just tried to jump over and hope that I could make it, and I didn't hit Mads on the way over, but apparently he clipped him, I think, on his shoulder or something, and
Well, that's how you do it in cyclocross. You kind of like tap your front wheel and then tap your back wheel.
Yeah,
you like use the barrier to set the height
to
of
leverage
your
it
hop.
up.
You don't. Yeah. If you try to fully clear it, then you case the back wheel and go over the front. So that I think he must have done some cyclocrossing in his day.
Yeah, he sort of you can sort of see that front wheel go up and then the back wheel come over. They've got Dylan
to go
here.
Back to the Cav win though. Like I think Cav. This is like what I was saying about people who are just good at Zwift. Like Cav is just good at sprinting. Like and not from a raw numbers perspective. Like I don't think his numbers were bad. You can't be up there if you have bad numbers, but he's able to process so many things so quickly about he knows what riders are going to do what. So much of sprinting is what the guy in front of you does. And I think that's part of why it takes Cav always says like, it takes me a few stages to get into it. I think some of that is him reading the riders and going like, this guy wants it too bad and he's going to jump early. And this guy like thinks he has it, but he doesn't. And he's going to fade. So I need to get off that wheel. And he's like doing some of those calculations.
I mean,
he
took
at space.
Yeah, he took the wheel of Philipsen, who was behind MVDP, didn't he? And, for all the world, that is the wheel to be on, isn't it? But then he only took it for a second or two because MVDP didn't have it for some reason.
Yeah.
And he switched. Yeah. He started on the left, he went to the right. MVP didn't go, which you would assume he's just waiting or something, surely. And then he's like, no, he's not going. I'll go for, I can't remember, Everson or something. He's just like switched over and then, and then he's gone. And
instinctual.
That's it. Is what.
And I'll also say kudos on, we're talking about him kind of switching wheels and switching lanes. He also checks over his shoulder before he moves over, which is something in real life racing that I've been harping on this year is like guys are not using their peripheral vision enough.
Yep.
And you have to be aware of what's around you. And that's the difference between him and Philipsen is Philipsen just is going, I want to go over and I'm going to go over regardless of who's there. And Kavlik made sure that he was clear. He didn't swipe anyone's wheel.
Yeah, so Philipsen got relegated, didn't he, in the one that he came second in?
Yeah, but they didn't know that until after. But have a look at this photo. How close is this? Let's wait for it to finish. God, the power.
Oh, yeah. I thought Girmay was going to get that one again.
Yeah, the commentators in the UK didn't even mention Groenewegen. They didn't even notice him because he was maybe in the shadows.
Ooh. That's a quarter of a wheel. That's incredible.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. So do y'all think that the nose piece got it for him? I mean, if the nose piece is, I haven't seen anyone claiming a number, but let's say 1 watt over whatever the stage was, 5 hours. I mean,
maybe that's the result.
What's his nose piece? What's the nose piece?
Have you not seen it? It's the new glasses he's got, and is it plastic or carbon?
Oh, yeah.
And he's got, it looks like scuba goggles.
Yeah.
Where he's got the thing covering his nose between the two, the lenses.
Almost like a Batman nose, with the pointy.
Yeah. No, I have seen.
So, no, it's So you reckon that's it? That's what you're putting it down to?
I want him to claim that just
just to point it out.
Some controversy.
Like when Lado claimed that Sky only won because their wheels were rounder.
Yeah.
But then you'll see, by stage 10, they'll all have it then. All right. So hang on one second. We're just going to do a quick trans up.
Oh, nice. Now, check that out.
Beautiful.
This month, the July racing series is Vive la France. Is that right, Rob?
Yeah, great pronunciation, man.
Thank you.
That's what we've missed.
How should I put?
Vive la France!
There we go. Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. And so we've got stage 1. Oh, you've put together. We've got a little highlight reel for you. So do you want me to play that now? And
well, I've decided to mix it up a bit instead of doing my normal, in-depth previews. I'm doing so. Oh, don't pause. So these are previews, but previews via the medium of some of my favorite ever races. Unfortunately, I haven't got anything Jonathan's, but it's some of our subscribers. So subscribe, Jonathan, if you want to be featured in our next racing series. So the first one is on Caspats, which is a really nice race. Really, it's got a nice 4 to 10 minute climb, 8 minute climb, maybe depending on what category you're on. It's flat, so you don't have to warm up.
Adam Dawson.
Yeah. So, pause on to Jesus, man. Pause it. Wow, I was barely finished talking. So yeah, he's doing this race, and it's got the aqueduct, boring, and then you go up the petite KOM, and my little tip that I always say when going up the petite KOM on this direction is that after the lefts, I can't remember my own tip now. After the rights, you're all right. It tends to be draftable. After the left, you'll feel bereft or something like that. I can't remember what I
That's about it.
Now. But yeah, it gets steep after the left. So if you're going to make a go for it after a left turn. After the right, it's very draftable. So at least in the bottom slopes anyway. But yeah, okay, let's play it. And so he's doing the classics thing. And this is what inspired me to try and get my streak of ZRacing wins. He was trying to win every single stage. So he didn't care about position. It was just win or nothing, yeah? So he's going along. And this guy eventually makes a break for it off the front. I think it's Foo is called. Mm-hmm. And he gets a few seconds over the top. Adam does the right thing, puts in some power down when it gets steep, leads the way, trying to bring this guy back. But he gets about 6, maybe 10 seconds over the top. And then on the way down, this guy starts saying, cheers all, game over. He's got 10 seconds lead. And this guy, Wally, who's now one of my favorite Zwifters because he goes, let's get him. Because this guy's boasting. And this Wally guy, this Belgian, I love him so much. He just puts in all in effort to catch him on the downhill. And he's doing 8 watts per kilogram down the hill. And Fu said a good try. And then Adam in the sprint, they've brought it down to a few seconds. Adam in the sprint uses the burrito. It was a great team effort to bring this guy back. And Adam uses the burrito once they brought him back. Boom! Off he goes.
Snatched.
And takes the win. Fu, after giving all the chat. So I love that race. And, it's got a nice mix. It's loads of flat. There's a little punch over the aqueduct. It's got the 5-minute climb. So, yeah, it's a great race. The next one is Duce France. I always pronounce it like Il Duce, but I'm not sure that's a thing. But let's call it Duce. It's RGV reverse. It's even more boring than RGV, really, because it's got the kind of S's at the start, the aqueduct in the first half even, and then it's pretty flat in the end. But last time I did this, weirdly, this course, I've got both of my 2 top 1 minute powers on this course. So no particular reason why, other than the last time I did it, I don't know if you remember, but Doom Guy, I persuaded him to help me win because I was going for a streak of wins, and Doom Guy turned up, and obviously he'd absolutely thrashed me on a course like this. Doom Guy is like a 1400 watt sprinter, and so he decided to help me win by going for he decided to be my lead out. Now lead outs aren't normally very effective in Zwift, but if you get the time in and you've got a guy like Doom Guy who doesn't care about his own result, then it can be absolutely devastating. So play him, man.
Yeah, I remember.
So
I
think we agreed to go at about maybe 1.2 to go.
It was
like that.
really close to the end.
So I got the final vape in, and Doom Guy just like drops off the back. He drops off the back so much. There is winding. I couldn't even drop off the back of him. I was too scared to go further back than him. But yeah, there he is off the front, and he didn't even have the aero. He had the stupid draft van. And I missed 5 seconds of the footage there. But yeah, he's just absolutely hammering it. I just keep running his draft. We've already got a big gap. Roy Yamahara's in my draft, but he can't even hang on to the Doom Guy draft for that long. And then he goes, I'm done. Peels off. Lets me take the draft. And then, I just had to... I did do my top 1 minute power, but... I don't have to do very much to win this by 5 seconds or something. It's just pretty easy, thanks to Doom Guy. That was awesome.
How fantastic is that?
Yeah.
And Doom's in the chat, by the way, so well done, Doom.
Yeah, cheers, Doom Guy. Still watch that every now and then. Cheers, man.
You said lead outs aren't that effective on Zwift, but I actually think they can be. I think they're just not that common.
Yeah.
Especially with the newer dynamics.
Is that because you think everyone's just fighting for their own position?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've said this about Zwift racing before, but at the high end, it's the racing dynamics of an outdoor Cat 5 race with the power of a Cat 1 race, meaning that in Cat 5, no one's on a team and everyone's racing for themselves. So what happens often is anyone who tries to make any breakaway, every individual rider goes, I don't have a man in the breakaway. I got to get there. So everyone kind of chases everything. Yeah. And it's all individual attacks and all sort of blob catches up. But if you get organized, you can make some interesting tactics happen, I think.
Yeah,
especially with the newer dynamics.
Yeah. I did a breakaway with one of our subscribers, Dave Blitchy, on London Classic, and with about 7k to go, and it was after following moves as well, so everyone was tired and we just got away and just worked together. It really does work, I suppose. But the last one is on Champs-Elysees, which is it's always great to finish on the shops, isn't it? Nice racing series, you should finish on the shops. So we're on the Champs, and it's got the hill and then down the hill and then round the boring bit at the bottom. Well, I mean, it's not boring. Anyone who gets bored of Paris, I can't believe people say they get bored of Paris. But it's a classic, and we've got a clip from a favourite race. Ben featured this on one of his videos recently,
Titanium
so I thought
Ben,
I'd steal it. Yeah. Did I pause? So the down the tunnel. This is just the finish. Down the tunnel. You come out, there's this flat bit, and someone usually goes early, but Ben's keeping his powder dry here. But it's a Cat A race, it's a big race, Oz cycling race, and he sees that no one has gone. As you're approaching this final corner, normally someone's gone by then, so he rips it up, fires his aero, off he goes, makes a gap from the pack, gets a good gap, and he thinks he unclips. He thinks he's escaped because he's got sticky watts. So he's like, "Oh man, I've got sticky watts. I better just, I'll just roll in."
Yeah.
But he's over the finish line before everyone else by about 2 or 3 seconds, and he apologizes for getting the sticky watts. They all just drift by him. And he, says that he's happy to get a DQ, and then eventually realizes that was one lap to go, and that the races just rolled past him, and that's why no one followed him. He's still apologizing.
Wow.
He's still apologizing for winning. It's like you haven't won, man.
Yeah.
The race is there's no finish screen. He still
That's
hasn't realised.
Yeah. He's just realised now.
Yeah. So. Whoops.
Oh, that's great. What do you think, Jonathan, on Sticky Watts? Do you think that Zwift's doing enough to try and combat that sort of thing?
No. I mean, yeah, that's one of those ones where, like, I don't know what more. If someone's obviously using it, I mean, I think like back in the Zwift Power days when like Sticky was running it, and there were some race series that were really well organized. Like Oh My Crit comes to mind, where afterwards someone was actually like looking at power files and stuff and DQing people if they were doing fishy things, like a community person doing that. That's like maybe the only way to do it. And I understand why Zwift HQ maybe wouldn't want to put that power in the hands of, and they were getting a lot of people mad because they were getting DQ'd. But at the same time, I think that's the only way. They could probably create some kind of AI now that would like look for these crazy cadence and power spikes, and maybe there's one guy whose inbox those get funneled to, and then he can just look at the spots that a human can do the back end check of the ones that have been identified. But Zwift, there's no upside to doing that for Zwift HQ.
Is there any? If someone's doing duels though, shouldn't they have their trainer as primary? Is that? I mean, that's what Indievelo's doing essentially, isn't it? I mean, I don't think it's quite doing it, but it's a if you haven't, or does it force you to do trainer as primary? I can't remember.
I don't know if it forces you.
No,
but
it doesn't.
I think
You can
even with
choose
trainer as primary. You can do some sticky watts. I think Zwift is pretty generous, and I get why they do this. I think it's on the Zwift end, not the power source end. A lot of times where the app wants to assume, it would prefer to assume that you're doing the same watts as you were just a second ago when there's a massive drop off, because so many people are on spotty connections that it gives you a little bit of grace, or else people would be riding around and seeing their power doing these dips because their connection is bad and they're on a janky setup. So I think they put that.
Surely that's better for racing. If your setup's poor, then you get no power. Sorry, if you're not transmitting power, you get zero power.
That's good.
Surely that should be the way.
I agree. There should be a race mode. I think the thing for Zwift, and like maybe race score shows that and the new pack dynamics show that they're starting to turn this corner a little bit. But I think for a long time, especially when they were like really in growth mode, and when we were seeing all the stories about them trying to get sold, get IPO'd, they were like, if you're racing, we got you. Like, what percentage of the user base actually races? Like, that's not their growth potential.
10%?
Yeah. So putting more money into that was like, why would they do that?
Yeah,
because that's
money.
not gonna. Yeah, if they go into a shareholder meeting and say like, our tiny percent of racers are a little bit happier because we put all of this money into improving their experience.
Yeah.
The share, whoever is running that meeting is going to go, why did you do that?
Yeah, it looks sideways.
Which, like, for me, that's what I want them to do, because I want to race and I want the racing to be good. And I do think they're missing a trick there, which is like, if they don't have that core base of users, because those are the people, I mean, we're the ones who are the evangelists for it. Like, I'm the one out there making YouTube, and I've always been very clear-eyed. I find that a lot of people who make YouTube content about Zwift have really drank the Zwift Kool-Aid, or are very like burned by Zwift and hate it. And I've always tried to be very fair about like, the new pack dynamics are good. It's ridiculous that there's not in-game scoring for ZRL, like, I think that's I think trying to be fair about it, the internet hates that. The internet hates nuance, but I think being one of the only people bringing nuance to the discussion has given me my own lane on the internet. But
What
I
do
would
you
probably
think?
get more clicks if I was like, Zwift is the worst app of all time, and you should
Yeah.
get on Whoosh, or
Oh,
vice
yeah,
versa,
yeah.
whatever, you know.
Yeah. What do you think to the competition now? I nearly got to that question half an hour ago, but I got distracted. But
What do I think of the competition now?
yeah,
I think the new pack dynamics make it feel a lot more like outdoors and a lot more like what I liked about RGT. I think that them getting the stickiness right, like we were talking about with the sort of logjam thing, has also made it where the blob doesn't automatically just pull every breakaway back like it used to. That used to be a running joke, is that there's no breakaways in Zwift, and like it's kind of a revolution that there are. We had a lot of breakaways in my ZRL this last season, and it felt more like outdoor riding, where if two guys got up the road and I didn't get on the Discord and say like, "Hey guys, we got to start pulling," that time would just keep going out. It used to be that.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost my sprint somewhat, and I think I've only won from breakaways in the last like 3 or 4 months. Just
a year ago,
I doing it tactically.
Yeah, a year ago, no breakaways.
Yeah.
Breakaways didn't win.
those would have all
Like
been
you couldn't win.
losses
It was
already.
very hard for that. I think that food guy against Adam
Mhm.
on Cast Pats. I think that was prior to the change. So so I think maybe that's partly why they call him.
Even getting that many seconds that he got used to be very hard. It used to be really hard to get more than, especially if there's a slight downhill, the pack would just roll through with so much speed.
Yeah,
And
also
kind of fixed that.
And removing the super tuck as well from the whole group, I think has also helped with that too.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But the flip side of that is I think that they're running. I think they've muddied the race calendar, and there's like too much racing going on all the time now. Where it used to be, there was like a crit city on the hour every hour or every other. And as an A, I kind of knew, like I can jump in that and there'll be 10 guys, 15 guys, and that's always going to be a good race. I find now that racing A, and maybe this is going to change with the score. Maybe the score will fix this.
Hopefully, yeah.
This is the thing I actually think the score needs to normalize for. Maybe it does in the math, but like there weren't many people racing A, because people would sandbag and whatever. There were just not that many. Maybe it should be the top 20% of racers. Like when you sign up for a race, there's 100 guys sign up. The bottom 1/4 of scores go into the bottom cat, and the next 1/4 of scores go into, they just segment it based on who has signed up in total, rather than like your race score puts you into A or B or C, so that each category you're racing an equitable number of people that are at relatively your level. The closest people.
Yeah, I can't see that happening. Just like the bees who get pushed into A, I'll just I'll bother, then I'll find something else.
Yeah, they won't. They'll stop racing.
That's what happened though.
Yep.
So that's my take on racing recently. Is I haven't been doing it as much because, like for me right now, racing outside so much. The reason that I would do a Zwift race is like, I was going to do a hard workout outside and it's raining, so let me jump into like 2 crit cities or a crit city and a London Classic back to back or something to get that effort in. Yeah. And right now when I do that, I'm riding around by myself, and you got to like really fun. It's a lot like what RGT used to be, and people would complain about this. You have to say like, here is the good series, and I'm going to make time to do that. So there's quality racing out there, but you got to like prioritize it.
What I meant in the sorry.
I was just going to say, I was going to follow up that comment by saying that Doom in the chat said the exact same thing just as you were saying that. He goes, he's looking to do a race right now, and using the new scoring system, he's in the top category, doing Cat A. And he goes, one race has 2 people in it, and the other race has 0 people in it. So yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's going to be an issue. So I mean, what if? So our ZHQ, this is my suggestion. Don't tell people what category they are in. Just here's the race. You just sign up, and then you on the back end, ZHQ, use the category to say 10 people signed up. We're splitting it down the middle. There's 2 races, 5 and 5 or whatever.
Oh yeah. You could even combine the A's and B's, couldn't you? If
and then people also going to know who's who. Like, make it where you can't see each other's score or something. And it would be more interesting if you get in there and like somebody attacks and you kind of don't know, like,
yeah.
Oh, I don't like that. I like looking at Zwift. I like the whole screen.
You're right.
Oh, he hasn't got a sprint.
Yeah, when I'm racing on Twitch and Rob is watching, I outsource all of my info to Rob. I'll ask, like, who knows where the climb is, or who knows this guy? Look him up.
Who's got the best?
Follow that?
Who's got the best 10-second, 20-second power?
Okay, we do need to move on. But
yes.
I was going to ask about what do you think about the competition, as in like My Whoosh,
the other apps,
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Indie Velo's got the best dynamics. I'm the most optimistic about Indie Velo. I think that the lack of routes and the lack of the fact that the bikes look like bikes from before I started is a little tough for some people.
Yeah.
But it is good. I think the fact that he's building out the feature set and like the skeleton of the game first, rather than like scaling it up and then trying to go back and figure out
and fix things,
the spaghetti code like Zwift did. I think that's a tougher model. So I'm the most optimistic on them. Whoosh is like impressive for a free app. I think the fact that it has a workout builder, like sometimes I want to do an erg mode workout, and if I wasn't paying for Zwift, Whoosh would be the only game in town where I can open a creator and make my intervals. Yeah. So just for that feature alone, I think it's worth it. And I do have one of my teammates, Ben DeJarnette, like he was like, I'm spending too much money on subscriptions, I'm going to get rid of Zwift. And he is just using Whoosh when he has to ride inside. So you can do it. He's doing it a few times a week, and he's off Zwift, but he also doesn't race a ton. Like he did some of the ZRL with us on Zwift, but he's not like a hardcore racer. I think the pack dynamics on Whoosh are absolute garbage, like infuriating, terrible, just painful to look at. It also like it doesn't look like you're going very fast on Whoosh, which messes with my mind. Yeah. Like the sense of speed is not there. And the cartoon heads are big, which is weird.
Yeah. Cartoon heads are big. All right. Rob, I think we've got to start bring this one home. We've got the quiz coming up next, unless you got any more questions for Jonathan?
Oh, I could talk all night.
I know. Jonathan, I'm just thinking that actually.
I often do, but
you can do that on Twitch,
yeah.
Twitch.com/Jonathan Crain.
All right, well let's get into this then. There we go. Let's call this up now. I was explaining this to Jonathan. Oh no, that's not what I want. Oh no, don't play it. Cancel. There we go. We do a quiz each week. We go head to head with host. With us, and so everyone in the stream can join in. Those that know this have done this a few times, but for Jonathan and anyone else who is new, by the way, if you've been listening to this on a podcast platform, audio only, come and check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of video content. The quiz is video based, so if you're wondering what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. That's better. So we do the quiz. This one is very Frenchified, given that we're in watching the tour this next couple of weeks. On your device, go grab your iPhone. I know that if you're watching us on your device, you might have to switch across. Either scan that QR code that's on the screen there, or go to www.kahoot.it and enter that game pin. And then you can choose a name and choose a little funky avatar and get in on this. Now, the last week or the last show we had, episode 52 with Mike Brooks, Rob won, which meant that I had to do a challenge. Unfortunately, I just haven't had the time to do it. And so my
you've
challenge.
Only had 3 weeks. No one could expect you to squeeze in a ride or in 2 weeks.
Well,
I've done mine every single time, but
in between all the other races that I've been doing and some other back end studio stuff, it's been a bit of a trick. I do promise though, now that I've got everything sorted out, that won't be an issue anymore. So we can see.
Got to be up for 2 this week.
I may have to be, but what I am hoping though is Jonathan can really bring this home.
Why is this Doom, guys?
what I'm really hoping is that Jonathan can bring this home and knock you off your perch, because I really don't have time to do 2 challenges. So 1 challenge.
All right.
Eric's in.
Yep, Eric's there. And the challenge carries over, by the way. So the challenge will be the same as it was for the last quiz, which is a Z race on a buffalo bike.
No.
That's what it was.
You've got to catch that one up. You can't.
No, I can't do 2. I can't do 2. That's what I said.
You can't ignore it.
No, that's the challenge
fair.
that's the challenge for this quiz.
No way, man.
Yeah,
It's an
way.
additional. Like if someone doesn't do
whoever
it.
wins chooses the.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Jonathan. Yep, I'm gonna have you back on the show again.
But Eric's unbeaten, isn't he? Pretty much.
Say again.
Eric Lee's unbeaten, pretty much. He's in the quiz.
Yeah,
Jonathan Crain, we've got
James there, Marky Mark.
Hold on, knee.
Where's MVDP?
Oh, he's dropped
Where's he
out.
gone?
He's dropped out.
Yeah.
Doesn't like us anymore.
No, that's right. He was. He had your number for
Or
a few of
she.
the
Or
quizzes.
she.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
All right. Okay, so let's get into it then. Yeah. So
Yes,
this is
let's do it, man.
10 questions. They're all multiple choice, and there are no double points. So just so you know.
Could you
All
get
right.
rid of the run sheet, please?
Oh, yes, I can do that. How well do you know your French stuff? Okay. Tadej Pogacar is leading the tour at the moment, but who won it in 2023?
Do we get points for being fast, or you just?
Oh,
have to,
yes.
Yeah.
have to get
Thank
it?
you, Jonathan. I usually do say that. The faster you answer it, besides being correct, the more points you get.
Cool.
So sometimes you just got to stab at it.
Well, I thought I was quick, but
Yeah,
Not that
no,
Not
that's
too
right.
quick. I'm pretty practiced.
Question number 2. Zwift announced a new racing metric. What is it called? This is one of those
People have
ones where
called
you
it a
just
lot
got to
ruder things than that.
you just got to hope that you spot the right one very quickly and latch onto
Ooh,
it. Oh,
moved
Jonathan's
up.
moved up.
Oh, we're
There we
leading the
go.
way. We've got a breakaway, Jonathan. I say we just work together, get a gap.
Yeah, take
And,
turns.
Yeah. Oh, watch out
30-second
for
pulls.
Goomdie. Stage 1 of the July Z Racing Series is RGV, but what is stage 2? For those that were listening.
I think I got it, but not that quick. Ooh, nope.
Didn't get that one.
That was 3. Ah,
Marky Mark's moved up. Oh, Eric, and here comes Eric too. Right on your wheel. Question number 4. Zwift launched a new hardware in June. What is it called? Yeah, that was a bit of an easy one. We spoke about that at the start of the show. Marky Mark's still there.
Maxed out on
Has Mark won a quiz yet? If he's in the chat,
I don't
he
know,
can.
actually.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
He's on fire. He's on fire.
Eric's right there. How many stages are there in this year's Tour de France?
And in every Grand Tour for the last 30 years, I think.
Well, 2 people got it wrong. All right, come on, Mark.
I could get confused because of the rest days.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Oh, that's true.
It's longer, you know.
There's a couple of rest
but
days
those aren't
that-
stages. Those are
That's
just
right.
days.
And if you're not actively following it, you might get confused. Come on, Mark. I really need you to start pulling here. I can't have Rob winning again.
Come on, Mark. You can't make me do this after a month.
Which Zwift France route is the longest?
Oh.
This will
You
this will
got
do.
it wrong.
This will
I
just-
got it wrong. I
Same.
should have gone for Roma Pool. I knew it.
That's it, Mark.
Oh, no.
Come on, Mark. Come on.
Ah.
You can do it.
Oh, no, I did get it right. Just took my time. Okay.
It's just not fast enough. So
Was
it's
it
about
Roma Pool or RGV?
RGV.
Oh, okay.
Question number 7. Which France route is this?
I remember watching you on this,
Ooh,
and
got
you were very doubtful about your chances. Do you remember? And you said it's just too hard, man. I can't go top 5, and you did it. It was a really top race. Do you remember?
Me.
Yeah. I was like, no, you can do it, man.
I remember many of those races.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, because your cross background, the
little
the S's into the finish really suited.
Yeah.
Mark, come on, buddy.
Oh, I've got a gap. We're on the home straight.
Don't want this. All right. You've actually answered all 7 questions correctly. Damn it.
Boom.
Question number 8. What is the total distance of the 2024 Tour de France?
Oh, I've gone. Oh, that's stupid. That was stupid. What was I thinking?
No one got that one.
Yeah. Oh, good. Excellent.
Damn it, no. I didn't want that one. Someone to get it right. All right.
I was the wrongest, though. I should get minus points for being the wrongest.
The furthest away, were you?
Yeah.
Question number 9. According to Zwift Insider, how many meters of elevation does a Champs-Élysées have?
Oh, I should have covered that. Oh, what? Are you kidding me?
So close.
I've read it, Champs-Élysées. Oh, what?
Oh, I got it.
You got it?
Oh, what?
Full guess.
Yeah, the thing with them ones is just to guess quick. Oh, no.
Yes!
Come
on, Eric.
10 points.
All right. Final question.
A stupid question.
In which city does the 2024 Tour de France finish?
That's a tricky one.
Is that in Italy?
That's in Italy. All right, here we go.
I was
Who
pretty
won?
quick there. I was there last year.
Oh, Marky Mark, good effort. No, third.
Oh, what?
Second, yes.
Oh, man, he was quick.
Boom.
Wow.
Boom.
Eric, well done. Where's my little belated clap? Oh, and runner-up. Jonathan, you were third.
No, he wasn't.
No.
Was it? Oh, that's
4th or 5th?
fourth. Sorry, fourth. Yeah.
So that's actually my classic. You were asking like how well I do in races at the beginning. Oftentimes, however deep the like if we're racing for upgrade points or if there's money on the line, it's like if the money goes 5 deep, I get 6th. I'm the king of the shit spot.
And so if it was 6, you'd be 7th, yeah?
Exactly.
There can't be many with that ass whooping wrench set.
All right, so Eric, he's just gone. Let's go in the chat. He wants to know what the choices are. What are the choices? What are the challenges? Well, are we still doing
I haven't done the blindfold one yet.
Oh, that'd be a good one, wouldn't it? What do you think, Eric? We'll do a blindfold where someone DS's for Rob and he has to race blindfolded. That was because we did that. And that was actually pretty good.
The route this week's really hard though. It's class pats, is it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter.
Can I pitch a challenge?
Yeah, go for it.
Race with the HUD off, like H key,
Ooh.
and no companion app. Just fully race with nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right.
Naked.
There are 2 choices. Eric, you get to choose. What do you want to do? He races blindfolded or
Buffalo bike or the Buffalo bike. I could do. I've done the
but hang
Buffalo
on,
bike.
aren't I meant to do that? Still?
Yeah, you've got to do it. But I haven't done it.
Well, we'll save that for the next time.
I did do the what you call it. I used the cruiser once.
There's a video somewhere on my channel where I raced TJ. I was racing at Crit City, and TJ Eisenhart, who used to be the American domestic racer, was there, and I raced on the steel bike and beat him.
Oh wow!
That's somewhere on my YouTube.
On your channel there? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Eric says naked racing. Is it? I guess he's referring to. And someone says what? Rob naked. So is Eric? Are you saying without the HUD? Is that naked racing? Is it?
No HUD racing. Okay.
So I think that's what he's
no
referring
sauce, no HUD.
H key racing.
HK racing.
No sauce,
I like
Could
that.
I secretly put source on a different screen? Is that?
Well, you could,
You
but
gotta
then
stream your view. You gotta just share your screen.
Okay.
all right. Yep.
I've never done that. It might feel quite discombobulating, but I'll give it a go.
You'll give it a go. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think we've done another excellent podcast. Hey, Jonathan, just want to say thank you very much for joining us. It's been awesome talking to you, and I'd actually love to have you back on again. I think Rob would as well, because you've got
Thanks for having me.
so much information and insights into a lot of the things that are going on, which has been fantastic.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I just like talking about this stuff. I'm just a nerd, so that's what it comes down to.
Excellent. Rob, bring us home, buddy.
Well, thanks for Jonathan. It's been absolutely awesome having you along with us. And go and check out Jonathan's stuff. Jonathan Crain and the American Peloton podcast is on there. It's awesome getting to know about American crit racing, US crit racing.
Yep.
Sorry, we're going to interrupt.
I was going to
I
add.
got to my crescendo.
No, keep going. Have you crescendoed?
No.
You've crescendoed. I was going to add. There's a
No,
link to,
I'll go. Go on then.
there's a link to Jonathan's YouTube channel in the description below. So if you haven't seen his channel, go and check it out. Go subscribe to it and watch his podcasts. They're just fantastic. So and Rob,
appreciate it.
Yeah, he's truly awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have become 50, but you can get old and continue to be bold. So I encourage you all to do so. Enjoy your racing, however you go, and get out of the saddle and in the drops.
thanks very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Ooh, but insane.